welcome to the Life Leadership Podcast with me, Leila Singh. This is the place where ambitious business professionals come to level up in their career and life. Here, we explore powerful strategies for leadership development. We dive into career and personal mastery, mental fitness, and building a standout personal brand. So if you're ready to play a bigger game and unlock your hidden potential to thrive in this fast evolving world of life and business, then you're in the right place. So let's dive in. Have you ever wondered what separates those who lead from those who remain unnoticed and almost invisible? Why do I ask you this question? Because many people believe that hard work alone, the qualifications, the certifications, and keeping your head down will lead to that recognition that you're striving for. In other words, the promotions, the recognition, the pay rise, being assigned that big client or that big project. And the challenge here is that this alone is not enough to get you to where you want to be if you want to move up the career ladder or you want to secure that next role. And what happens is if we do this, if we keep our head down, we work hard, we have the qualifications, the certifications, and the experience, this can often result in you being overlooked. And often you don't understand why, because you think you've got it all together. You have, you're great at what you do. You've got the experience, you've got qualifications or certifications and so forth. But here's the thing, what got you here to where you are today won't necessarily get you to where you want to be. Remember this, your career success starts with how you show up. So my invitation is to help you to make 2025 the year that you get to take control of your career trajectory and achieve that recognition that you deserve. Today, I want to introduce you to my main proprietary framework, the Aspiring Leaders Blueprint. This is something I've created drawing upon my 25-year corporate career, where I was once that shy, quiet church mouse. And I shared this story with you last week in terms of my experience, my career journey, and how I had to really take myself hugely out of my comfort zone to be able to advance in my career. And having learned and experienced that over the 25 years, and not only that, coaching clients over the last 10 years and seeing what does and doesn't work when it comes to being more visible, standing out, getting recognized, getting those promotions, securing your next role, and in other words, advancing your career. That is what I bring to this blueprint. And it comprises of 6 pillars, which are essential for developing your competitive advantage in the workplace, as well as in your industry. And ultimately, this is for you if you're somebody who really wants to advance in your career. Maybe you're currently in the job market. I know it's a very competitive environment right now. There are a lot of really high quality candidates in the market looking to secure their next role. So what this blueprint is about is showing you how you can go over and above when it comes to your job search, to advancing yourself through your career, progressing up the ladder, or to securing the role that you're really striving for, and being able to stand out, to be visible, to influence, and to be top of mind for those that matter. In other words, the hiring managers, those decision makers, and being remembered for all of the right reasons. Here's the blueprint. I'm going to be sharing this with you and walking you through these 6 pillars today to give you an insight into what I'm talking about when it comes to going over and above. What is the additional effort you can make so that those opportunities come to you, so that people will refer you, that they have you top of mind when they hear about that next opportunity? Here is the blueprint, the Aspiring Leaders Blueprint. And as I said, this comprises of 6 different pillars. And the first pillar is called clarity. And what do I mean here by clarity? Clarity is about having a clear direction in terms of where you want to go in your career. But not only that, it's about having clarity on who you are, your identity, what you stand for, in other words, your values, and what you want to be known for. in your career, whether this is in your team, in your organization, or maybe even in your wider industry. So getting real clarity on that and what you stand for, what you want to be known for. And when we don't have that clarity, we run the risk of drifting through life, simply getting up in the morning, going to work, just doing the same thing over and not really moving forward and progressing. And that's okay if that is something you're content with. However, if you are that person who is really struggling to move forward, to feel like you're making progress, perhaps you're simply feeling stuck, clarity is your starting point. It is about getting clear on your next steps, what your strategy is to get you to where you want to be, understanding why perhaps you're not moving forward. So when you gain your clarity, and this is within the pillar that I have created, the crystal clear clarity compass. And in here, with each of these pillars, we have anything between 5 and 9 modules. So these go really deep into the nitty gritty, the real detail of understanding the different aspects of this and what you can work on and develop and then implement such that you, in this case, gain that clarity. Because when you have that clarity, decision making, for example, becomes a lot easier. Your goals align with your values and you get to create a clear roadmap to success. So that is the first pillar that we're looking at here today. And I'll give you a few takeaways today for some of these, just so things you can go away and start to work on and to implement. So with a takeaway here, when it comes to clarity, my first invitation to you is this, and something I've shared here before is to reach out to 3 to 5 people in your professional network, people that like and trust, and whose opinion, whose point of view you value. So people who have your back, people that you trust, that they will be honest with you and they want to see you win. Reach out to those 3 to 5 people and ask them to share with you the top 3 statements and or phrases that come to mind when they hear your name mentioned in a professional capacity. Why? Because when you receive this back, you can go through this and actually think, right, does this reflect in terms of perception? So in terms of other people's perception of you, does this reflect how I want to be perceived by the people around me? Perhaps there are things that really are important for you that nobody has mentioned. They haven't really noticed this or recognized this in you. So therefore, you now look at it and think, well, this is how people perceive me. This is how I'd like to be perceived. Maybe there's a gap here. And then the next question you can ask yourself is, okay, what do I need to do differently here that will help me to close that gap so that people recognize this particular trait, attribute, characteristic that I have, or the value that I am bringing? On the other hand, it may be that the feedback you receive is like blows your mind and it's like, oh, I never realized that people really saw how amazing I am, how much value I have to bring, etc., and all the great things about what I do and how I show up. Now, if that is the case, then it's great. You're showing up in a really positive way already, and people are seeing that. They're seeing beyond what you are seeing, and that is fantastic. But at least this way, you have a clearer understanding of how you are being perceived. Because oftentimes our perception of ourselves is not the same as other people's perception of us. So that's your first takeaway, your actionable insight that you can go away and implement today. So this is your first pillar. The second pillar is about confidence. And what I mean here is confidence when it comes to your mindset. Because here's the thing, success is 20% strategy and 80% psychology. And the problem I notice when I speak to people, when I work with my clients, is that most people will be looking for the strategy, the to-dos. What do I need to do? I need to update my CV. I need to update my LinkedIn. Plan prepare my interview responses and prepare for those interviews, and reach out to recruitment consultants. It's all strategy, strategy, strategy. Now, don't get me wrong. Strategy, of course, is important. But the psychology, in other words, your mindset, what's actually going on in here is 80% of your success, because we can do all of the strategies. And if we're not achieving what it is we want, oftentimes it's because of the psychology, the mindset that we're holding on to that is potentially holding us back. It's the thing that a lot of people feel uncomfortable addressing and exploring. And here's the thing, when we have that courage to actually show up and really dig deep and understand what is showing up for us that is holding us back here mentally, in terms of, for example, the beliefs that we carry that perhaps no longer serve us, the assumptions that we make about ourselves, about others, about situations, and often those are drawn upon experiences that we've had in the past. For example, we might have put ourselves forward for a role and we were rejected for that, and now we're creating a story around that, or an assumption that, let's say, the hiring manager doesn't like us, they didn't want to interview us, or that, oh, well, I'm never going to be good enough, or I'm never going to be recognized in this company. And it's a load of stories and assumptions that we start to build up in our head. And these are the kinds of things that more often than not will hold us back and keep us feeling stuck. So mindset is one of the biggest areas, in fact, the most important area in my experience of what we need to develop. We need to really work on and optimize letting go of all of these things, the stories, the beliefs, the assumptions, and the experiences that no longer serve us, the things that are restricting us and holding us back. In other words, shifting the lens that we see the world through and opening ourselves up to new perspectives. Why? Because when we do this, guess what? We get a whole new experience. New opportunities will show up for us, that you will see things in a different light. You will then show up differently, and you will have you will see opportunities rather than the problems. You'll see the solutions. This makes sense. Let me know, yes or no, in the comments. So this is where confidence is so critical. And here I have created a system called the Winning Mindset Mastery. And this is where we go really deep to unpack all of those limiting beliefs, those factors that can potentially impact on the way that we show up, the way that we come across and communicate and so forth when it comes to advancing our career. And a little takeaway for you here, an actionable insight yet again, that will help you to start to work on this to develop a more optimized mindset is to start to slow down and notice those stories that are occurring in here, your inner dialogue, your self-talk. What is it you're telling yourself more often than not when it comes to your career, when it comes to you, your abilities, your value, how you're showing up, how you're performing in the workplace? Ask yourself this: am I putting myself down? Am I seeing all the things that aren't working well? Or do I actually look at what are the positives? What is the value that I'm bringing? The wins that I have? And these could be big wins, they can be small wins. Okay, so start to notice, what are you focusing on? Are you focusing on what doesn't work, or are you focusing on the little wins, the little bits of progress that you are making? A simple little exercise you can start to do on a regular basis to notice where you're at when it comes to your psychology, your mindset, your inner dialogue. Okay, I hope this is making sense for you. Any questions, as I said, pop them below. The third pillar is captivate. What I mean by captivate is your presence, your executive presence. Why is this important? Because a large part of this is made up of how we communicate. Most people believe that communication is driven by what we say. And I've often heard people say to me, well, I don't want to make a bad impression, or people might think I'm stupid if I say the wrong thing and so forth, because we often believe that what we say is what will form that impression for other people. When actually, here's the truth of it. People are forming an impression of us before we have even uttered a word. How? Through our body language, our physiology. So we've talked about psychology. Now we're looking at physiology. In other words, the non-verbal communication. And here's something you may not have been aware of, is that communication is only 7% words. 38% of our communication is our tonality. In other words, the tonality in how we say something, how we communicate. And then there is the 55%, which is our physiology. It's our body language. It's the way that we carry ourselves. And when we can work on this and become more aware of how we're showing up and the way that we're being perceived, the way that people are noticing and forming those impressions before we have even spoken, this is a massive win for you. Think about it. Think about how you show up on a Zoom or a Teams call. How do you walk into a room when you're going for an interview? How do you walk into the office on those days that you're in the office? How do you carry yourself when you're going to see a client or going to a meeting? All of these things can make a huge difference to the way that you are perceived and the way that you are remembered. So here's the thing. I'm inviting you to start to, again, become aware of the impression you are creating by the way that you carry yourself. This can be your posture, this can be your eye contact, your smiling, your gestures, for example. All of these different things will play a part in that impression that you are creating and how you are perceived by others. So again, a takeaway for you here is starting to hone in and notice your posture. Particularly, let's say if you're sitting in a meeting or sitting at your desk on a call like this, on Teams or on Zoom, how are you sitting? What is your posture like? You know, are you looking at the camera or are you looking at the screen when you're speaking? All of these things will create a different experience for the people on the receiving end of your communication. Okay, the system I've created here is the priceless presence principles. And again, we go in here, we have 9 modules within here that we go into depth, looking all of the different areas of this to help you to hone and really develop this so that you are showing up with gravitas and have therefore people wanting to be around you, forming an incredibly positive perception of you in terms of your levels of confidence, of your certainty, of who you are and what you are about. Imagine that. Wouldn't that be a great place to be, particularly when you're looking to advance in your career or simply to secure your next role? So the next pillar we're looking at is communicate. This one is what it says on the tin. This is about the 7% words and bringing in the tonality as well. So the 38% communication we talked about earlier, which is your tonality and the way that you say things, because it's not always about what you say, it's about how you say it, how you communicate it. Also here we look at language, because language can be a huge giveaway in terms of giving insight to people to your levels of congruency. In other words, what you say, how you say it, the language that you're using can be a big giveaway in terms of what's really going on underneath what you're actually saying. In other words, what's not being said. And these are some of the areas that we look at within this pillar and how you can develop more effective communication, and also looking at your delivery style, your presentation skills. Why? Because this is one of the most sort of impactful skills that you can develop in life. Now we know that most people, 90-something% of people, absolutely fear public speaking. But actually, it's something we can overcome and we can really develop the skill. And we can do this through understanding the key aspects of what it takes to be an engaging presenter, somebody who can stand up, whether this is in a meeting or at an event where you're speaking on a client, for example, if you're pitching or providing a proposal. How do you come across? I've been there. I know we often deliver death by PowerPoint. I've sat in the room and had it delivered to me. I was that person who used to read off my slides or have notes that I was reading from. Now, when I go to deliver a keynote, I don't have notes. I have slides. Slides don't have a lot of writing on them. They have more images, a handful, maybe 2 or 3 bullet points, but that is it. How do you do that? How do you spend less time looking at your slides and your notes and actually connecting and engaging with people in your room? And that is what you want to be able to do. Why? Because this will leave a lasting impression. Imagine if you were delivering a pitch against a direct competitor and everything about that pitch, all of the details, the pricing, the investment, the delivery, etc., is exactly the same. The only difference is the way that message is delivered. Who do you think the customer is going to choose? Who do you think they're going to buy from? So you want to be able to deliver engaging, compelling communication, whether it is on a one-to-one basis in a meeting with your team, with your manager, and or with clients, internal or external. All of this will make the difference to how you are perceived. The system here that I've created is the standout speaker strategy. And again, here we have 7 modules within here that go into depth around each of these areas that I'm sharing with you today. The next pillar is connect. And again, this one is kind of what it says on the tin. You will have heard the quote, the saying, which is your network is your net worth. This is so true. And unfortunately, people only start to realize this when they are in the job market, particularly if they're out of work and they're like, oh my God, what do I do now? And then the amount of people I have spoken to are like, oh, I now need to reach out to my network because I need a job. That doesn't always leave a good feeling with people when you're only reaching out now because you need something. And this isn't about asking for help alone. This is about the fact that when you nurture your network, you remain top of mind. Opportunities will more likely come to you because people will refer you. They will recommend you. They will make introductions for you. They will put in a good word for you. They'll become your advocates and your sponsors, and they will have you, as I said, remembered for the right reason and top of mind. Now, we all know the market at the moment is challenging. We do have a hidden job market, which is where a lot of jobs and roles are secured. You want to be able to optimize the hidden job market, and the way to do that is to cultivate and nurture your professional network. And you don't wait until you are looking for a job, you start that today. My invitation to you here as a takeaway is to reach out to just one person in your professional network that you haven't spoken to for, let's say, 12 months or more. Think of one person who you've had a good relationship with in the past. Maybe you've just both been busy, life has happened. Reach out, reconnect, just see how they're getting on. This time of the year is a great opportunity to do that with Christmas coming up, reaching out, wishing them a good Christmas, drop them a little email or a Christmas card, whatever it is you want to do. Even, suggest meeting up for a drink or for coffee or something. Anything that you can do to reconnect with people. I'm inviting you to identify one person you can do that with. If you can, think of 5 and do the same. Why? Because this is how you now start to rebuild, cultivate, nurture that network such that when you do need help, it's easier to reach out and ask. It's easier for people to think of you when an opportunity arises that could be suitable for you. Remember, the hidden job market, the recommendation for that promotion, all of these things come out of your network, but you've got to put in the work, the time and the effort to nurture that, to stay in touch with people. And by the way, this isn't all one way. You want to remember to ask those people, how can I help you? What can I support you with right now? Whether it's sending an article, some resources, whether it's being a sounding board for them, whether it's recommending that. This is two-way, it's reciprocity. So think about how you can help others as well. Don't just go in and reach out to your network because you need something. See how you can help them too. The system created here is the rewarding relationship principle. And again, we have 9 modules within here that go deep into your strategy around how you build out your network so that opportunities come to you and you're no longer chasing for that next move, that next promotion. Finally, we look at cultivate. Cultivate is about cultivating personal leadership. This is about going deeper within yourself so that you can lead yourself, because when you can lead yourself effectively, you can lead everyone around you. People will gravitate towards you. They will want to hire you. They will want to work with you. They want to be in your presence. And these are all things that will come from how you show up as a leader. When I talk about leadership and the aspiring leaders blueprint, this is about being a leader in your own right. This isn't just about people who have job titles as leaders. I'm talking about how each and every one of you can be a leader for yourself and therefore for others. That is what is important for me, is how you develop that personal leadership. So you're leading you and you're leading those around you. People want to be around you. Think about how you can influence your own outcomes, how you can create your vision for yourself, both personally and professionally, to become reality. How can you influence that? What can you do? And you might be thinking, well, how do I do that? Where do I start? This is about bringing in these other 5 pillars that we just looked at and bringing these all together, going deeper within them to develop your own personal leadership. And the system here is the transformational leader recipe. Again, each of these pillars has anything between 5 to 9 modules within them that go into a lot more depth with the whys, the wherefores, the how-tos of developing each of these areas. So I wanted to share this with you today because I know there are a lot of people right now who are in the job market. It is challenging, people are struggling, and it is incredibly competitive. My honest belief, and I think you can see that's coming across in my passion here when I'm sharing this with you, is that you can absolutely 100% stand out above your competition. You can have people coming towards you, inviting you to consider opportunities rather than you simply sitting back, sending out applications on LinkedIn, sending your CV and registering with recruiters and waiting for something to happen, which is what the majority of people are doing. The question to ask yourself is, what can I do differently? What can I do to harness my competitive advantage? Those are the questions. And this is what I have shared with you today. I'm being really open and transparent with this. These are the areas that I work with my clients on to help them to get the results that they want. It's really important to recognize the working landscape has changed. The job market has changed. It's evolved over the last 20 to 30 years from when I graduated and started looking for my first role. Things have evolved so much. This isn't only about AI. This is not only about the internet. This is about the competition being fiercer than ever, the landscape being incredibly competitive, and good quality candidates who are struggling to secure the next role. If you don't believe me, check out my recent podcast with Anna Murray. She's an experienced recruiter, both in-house and with agencies. She shared what is happening in the market, what the challenges are, and what you want to be thinking about so that you can stand out over and above. And she talks about what not to do and what to do when it comes to securing your next role. So if you didn't listen to that already, then do check it out on my podcast. So Anna said the same thing that I am sharing with you today. You want to stand out. You want to embrace your unique you and be authentic. And this blueprint that I've shared with you today, this is about how you step into your own leadership such that people will perceive you as a leader and want to work with you. They want to hire you. They want to be around you. So thank you for joining. Thank you for being a part of this today. And as always, any questions, do let me know. And if not, I look forward to seeing you same time, same place next week. Until then, take care and have a great rest of the week. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe to this podcast if you haven't already done so. And if you enjoyed and gained value from today's episode, then do please leave a review telling us your key learnings and what you enjoyed the most. And do please share this podcast with your friends and colleagues so we can spread the word on life leadership, creating a life of choice, freedom, and new possibilities. Connect with me directly on LinkedIn, and if you would like to learn more about how we can work together, either DM me on LinkedIn or email me. All details and resources can be found in the show notes.